As we all know probably by now, Brian Barczyk has passed. He's been battling pancreatic cancer the last several months valiantly. This is a sad day in the reptile world. As we all know probably by now, Brian Barczyk has passed. He's been battling pancreatic cancer the last several months valiantly, striving to put forth the aquarium that he was building across the street from his reptarium. His goal was to try to make it to see the opening of that. Unfortunately, that would not be. Brian, was diagnosed, I believe it was 8 or 9 months ago, with pancreatic cancer, which is, unfortunately, one of the worst cancers to get. I know firsthand because my mom passed from it when I was 14 years old, and it was a terrible battle. It's a very painful disease to have to deal with, and Brian was extremely courageous over the last 9 months or so. I spoke to him every so often. We were friends. I wouldn't call him, I wasn't his best friend, but I was a friend who we can call each other when we needed advice. He would always pick up the phone for me. I would always pick up the phone for him. And, he helped me over the years as I entered the reptile hobby back in about 10 years ago. And I tried to answer as many questions for him as he possibly had about nutrition, working out, and health. And when he was diagnosed with cancer, him and I had a couple long phone conversations about alternative therapies. And, Brian tried everything because Brian loved life. He wasn't one of these people who was at the end of his life or he ran out of reasons to live. He had passion and energy beyond what the average person has. It's like he had double the energy of everyone, and he had double the passion and double the vision. And that's why this loss is so tragic. And I know Brian wants to be remembered as someone who's a pioneer in the field of reptiles and animals in general, and he certainly will go down as someone who is a major influence on the hobby and keeping reptiles and keeping animals, both for breeding purposes and naturalistic enclosures. I mean, he did it all. Brian loved everything. He wanted to have one of every animal. I'm convinced he would have had Noah's Ark if he was allowed, and he had the space in the room. He would have built it. That is for sure. And he's going to be really missed by the community. I'm so happy that his YouTube channel will continue with his family and his employees, and we will get to see the development and the opening of the aquarium and the continuation of everything that he started over there. And I want to just send my condolences and my prayers out to his wife, Lori, who I know, and his children and grandkids, and all the people that loved Brian, because this is a very sad day in their world. And it's a sad day in all of our worlds who've been touched by Brian's presence, because he was a special spirit. And when he touched your life, you knew it, and he made you just a little bit better. I want to repost an interview that I did with him at Tinley Park, his favorite reptile show to attend. I think he went to every single one of them. And this was back in 2015, before I started having all my kids. And Brian was gracious enough to let me interview him, and we had a really good time and a fun interview, and I think you guys will enjoy it. I know I enjoyed it when I rewatched it, and I would like to remember Brian when he was in full life, full spirits, full passion, when he was healthy and vibrant, because that will be the memory that I always retain in my brain of my friend Brian Barczyk. Enjoy. I'm over here at BHB Reptiles with Brian Barczyk, and we've been just chatting up a storm here. This is your home turf, so to speak, here in Tinley Park.
Absolutely. I mean, I tell you what, it's great. We do shows all over the world, really, and this one's really in my backyard. It's still 300 miles away from my home, but it feels like this is my home turf for sure.
You spent a lot of time in South Africa on your safari, so to speak. Was it everything you hoped it to be? Was Africa, the coolest place you've been to?
Yeah, I've been to so many places around the world that have been amazing, but Africa was just so special. You know, the saying is that once there's dust on your boots in Africa, you never can get that dust off, and it's really true. I mean, you like almost have to count down the hours until you're back in Africa. And yeah, the animal adventures were unbelievable. I tell you what, Dave, when you wake up in the morning and you see a giraffe and it's like, it's just a giraffe, because you're so used to seeing giraffes and cheetahs and everything else, you know that it's an amazing place.
Now, I noticed since you've been going on these adventures around the world, all of a sudden, that your level of enthusiasm in your videos has gone down a little. You got like more cool about the whole thing. What's going on with that? I kind of like the old Brian where you were like screaming and excited.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, maybe it's just
Is it showbiz?
No, I don't know what it is. You know, I think sometimes I'm like taking the more mellow approach, but then there are times I get really excited and I'm over the top. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that I've been traveling so much that I've like down a little key, but trust me, inside I'm just always a million miles a second.
Now, you've really taken a different course in your life now because you've kind of downsized your facility. You moved into a small facility. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we still have an enormous collection for most people. You know, I always tell people I went from 30,000 animals to maybe 12,000 animals, which is a ton. Yeah, it's still a ton of animals. But yeah, I really want to spend more and more time on the education side, the film side, the just getting people, you know, listen, I love animals. There's nothing in the world I'm more passionate about than animals. And I just want other people to be as passionate as I am, or at least a little bit. And I feel like sharing that passion can help wildlife, you know, conservation and just the love. And even with snakes, which I have the special affinity to, I want people to stop looking them as evil. So my life went from like just breeding and selling snakes, which is fine, to more get people excited about animals and get people passionate about them, because so many of these animals are in such peril around the world, and they really don't have that big of a voice right now, and we need, not just me, but everyone needs to give them that voice.
Now, you know, what I noticed was back in when you started Animal Bites, which was originally Snake Bites by itself, I mean, a lot of the, I guess, passion that you had and a lot of the entertainment value was, you know, that always the risk of someone getting bit, you know.
Yeah.
And we still see you every once in a while get bit. But now you're actually, you know, dealing with wild, venomous snakes. Obviously, the danger factor is exponentially higher now.
Yeah, you know, I always say that, you know, the thing with venomous snakes in particular, and I was recently on a thing in Australia doing venomous snakes for almost a month every single day with the most deadly snakes on the planet. And as I always say, you know, the biggest thing is you want to stay away from the pokey end, right? I mean, you really don't want to touch the pokey end. So yeah, but snake bites happen. And early on in snake bites, we kind of let them happen, you know, a lot. And we really kind of decided let's not do that anymore, because we don't want to give people the wrong impression about snakes. You know, snakes can bite, dogs can bite, cats can bite, people can bite. But we didn't want people to start thinking like, oh my God, snakes bite all the time. So now when we do snake bites, which do happen, it's organic. It's something that just happens. And I still, you know, listen, when I get bit by a snake, I laugh at myself. So to me, I've always thought of snake bites as funny. So the idea was really, if we got bit by a snake, it's so light that maybe people would realize, this isn't a big deal.
True.
But there were some people that felt that maybe we were, you know, putting them in that light of getting bit too much. So I understood, and I kind of listened and said, let's back away from that and let's just do more stuff. But when it comes to the deadly stuff, you know, like I said, I'm a little cavalier. I do things a little bit crazy. I know with the film crew that I was recently with, they were shocked that I just grab them. You know, I don't like use tongs or anything like that. But at the same time,
is that more entertainment value? Be honest, though.
No, for me, in all honesty, there is entertainment value to it, no doubt about it. But for me, I can control an animal better with my hands than with just a pair of tongs or something. Now I'm going to use my hands and a stick to keep it away and use the right equipment. But I want to be able to feel and get a feel for that animal. If it's on tongs or it's on something, I just don't feel, number one, I feel like I can hurt the animal, number one. Number two, I don't feel like I get the feel for it as much. So maybe I'm old school. You know, the other thing is I'm always running around in shorts and tennis shoes. Everyone's like, don't you wear boots and pants? And I'm like, maybe I'm just old school, because my heroes, the Harry Butlers of the world and Steve Irwins and all these, a lot of these guys used to run around barefoot catching these snakes.
True.
You know, and so those are the people I looked at. So maybe I'm just emulating the people that I kind of, have always looked up to.
Have you ever been bit by a venomous snake?
No, thankfully I haven't, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if I'm just lucky. I don't know if, but I always tell people that venomous snakes, you're always just one very small mistake away from getting bit, right? So the more you deal with them, the higher probability that it's going to happen. But at the same time, I think that if you respect them and you read them very well, there's no need to get bit. I mean, I don't ever want, that's not a badge of honor I want, ever. I don't ever want to get bit by a venomous snake. And although I'm messing with them more and more, and good chance my future is going to be even more so that way, I'm going to do everything I can do to stay away from the pokey end.
Well, it's funny because we were at Tom Crutchfield's, and you probably know his guy Al, who works for him. He's been bitten hundreds of times, and he thinks it's hysterically funny. And then Tom is very proud of the fact that he's never been bitten. He's been doing this longer than anyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I look at Tom as like the poster child for that. And I want to be Tom. I want to go. I've been dealing with venomous snakes for 40 years and never been bitten. I don't want to be Al. And I've seen Al, and I love the guy. He's a great guy, but that guy is crazy. I mean, like, I don't mind doing crazy stuff with snakes, but I don't want to. I mean, the stuff I see him do, I can see why he's been bit 100 times.
Sure.
And I don't want to be that guy.
How many years have you been coming to Tinley Park now?
Since the very beginning. As a matter of fact, we were just talking about that on the way here. I don't know how many years it's been going on, like 12, 15, I don't even know.
You've been here every year?
Every year, every single show. I've never missed a Tinley Park show, and it's really one of my favorite shows of the year, and it's like, again, my home base, and crazy busy. It's a crazy amount of animals. I mean, this show is, to me, it's the best show in the country.
What's your favorite reptile now? Because I know you always have a new one of the month. What's the favorite one right now?
You know what? It's not even new one of the month. It's like every snake that I look at is my favorite snake.
I understand you bought something here.
I did. I bought, as a matter of fact, where is this? I'll find it for you real quick.
Yeah, let's see what Brian got. I want to see what Brian buys, because what I buy is not as exciting. Because when Brian buys something, you know it's got to be something exotic and different. All right, Brian, show us what you bought here. Wow, that's a big snake.
Yeah, this is what, like, one of my dream snakes here. I'll be honest with you. This has been a snake since I was about 10 or 12 years old.
Angolan python.
Angolan python, yeah, and it's very similar to a ball python from the fact that they look very similar, but they act completely different.
In what sense?
Well, ball pythons are, of course, they like to ball up. That's why they call them ball pythons. These are from the same region, just slightly more east, in Angola, of course, and they just never, they're not shy whatsoever. You can see they just always want to check stuff out. They're not head shy. They won't pull back. And they do get a bit larger too. And again, you can feel it, right? How it's got like, almost like a beaded.
Like a rough scale.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like a rough scale, actually. And as a matter of fact, they even kind of look like a rough scale.
They do look a little bit like,
and,
are there different morphs of these?
This is it, just the actual, Angola, because there's very few. I would say there was less than 20 Angolan pythons ever imported into the country.
Really? So can this be the new big snake thing?
I don't think so. I think that they're always going to be very popular. I don't think they're going to be the next big new snake thing, but I think that they'll always be a very popular niche animal. And it's really it's about critical mass. There's never going to be enough critical mass for them to be popular. There's going to be probably less than 30 of these produced a year for the next 10 years. So,
how big do these get?
Some of them get up at 8 or 9 foot.
Oh, they do get big.
They can get pretty large. And
are you going to breed this?
I sure hope so. I mean, this is a female, and it's my first one, so now I need to find a boy for it.
Oh boy!
And it's going to be awesome. But no, I think this is it's a great animal, and like I said, I've been dreaming about owning one of these guys for a long, long time. So I'm a happy camper.
Good luck with it, and thanks for the interview, Brian.
It's awesome, Dave. Thank you so much, man.